Does the Holy Bible mention that this winged lion represents the beast? It sure does. It sits right in front of the UN Plaza at 666 United Nations Plaza. But the devil is always in the details. And that little logo right there at the top of the screen, that's next to the trouble.
If it never existed, how come a lot of people still have the VHS tape? Are we in a different timeline? Time travel? Parallel universe? What's going on?
But yet it never existed.
Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger. I found an original scene from the Shazam movie. In it, several Mandela effects.
I met a director, a very big director, who told me in the late 90s that if you wanted the serum to live longer, you go to Switzerland because they take stem cells and put it in a serum and inject you. That's why 80-year-olds in Switzerland look 55. And then he looked at me dead in the eyes and he goes, "Vampirism, that shit's real."
Welcome back to Highly Motivated. My name is Renee. On this channel, we cover all kinds of videos, from the strange and conspiratorial to the funny and inspirational. The one thing that I do a little differently is that I come at everything from the lens of a follower and lover of our Lord Jesus Christ. So if you're new here, welcome to the family and consider subscribing. And without further ado, let's get started with today's video. Now, we have talked about Zena McVeigh and Taylor Swift looking eerily similar a couple times now, but he mentioned something in this video, and it's not the main topic of the video, but I don't know why I never thought of this myself, honestly.
Going on right now. All these states.
I mean, that would explain why they look so alike. I mean, and that's a lot more of a logical explanation. Yes, I also think that it is a way to harvest energy and strengthen spells as well.
There's a whole underground of vampirism. I met a director, a very big director, who told me in the late 90s that if you wanted the serum to live longer, you go to Switzerland because they take stem cells and put it in a serum and inject you. That's why 80-year-olds in Switzerland look 55. And then he looked at me dead in the eyes and he goes, "Vampirism, that shit's real."
They're saying now that they can halt the aging process, or that we're only a handful of years away from being able to completely shut down aging.
How long?
They say that we're a handful of years away, like within 10 years we're going to be able to do it. I heard something saying 5 years.
Interesting that it's Switzerland where Lucifer is
NASA's
dwelling.
going to talk about extraterrestrial UAP shit. The announcement was, we don't have enough resources to adequately research this correctly to give you an accurate answer.
What?
Because, once again, it's staggered disclosure. They basically saying, oh, this isn't bullshit. There's something here. We just don't have enough resources to properly research it.
That's a brilliant term. Staggered disclosure.
Yeah.
You're saying that's on purpose.
Yes, 100%. The next conference, they're going to go, you know, we got a couple 10s, 30, $50 million from the government. We researched it. It's something. We don't know if it's from Earth. We don't know where it's coming from, but it's something. So every 5-6 years, however they decide to stagger it. But there is also that theory that the New World Order is going to fade.
You know the big.
We have absolutely heard of Bluebeam. I personally do not believe in aliens. I was all into the ancient aliens and all of those things until I got deeper into the biblical texts, started learning about what the fallen angels were, what they did, the Nephilim, and I realized that it was a lie to cover up the existence of these fallen angels and their the spirits of their progeny that were not ordained by God, and that when they changed the name to interdimensional being, they were being far more accurate as to what they actually are, because they do not and are not supposed to exist on our dimensional plane. Now, a couple of the videos that I have for you guys today are a little on the long side. Let me know how you feel about the longer clips. Personally, I enjoy them because I think that you can put so much more information in if you're not limited to 3 minutes, right? Also, this is about the 440 versus 442. One of the highly motivated family mentioned this in a comment on the last video, and I thought it was an interesting topic to cover.
Musical cult control. 432 Hz versus 440 Hz. What I am about to tell you might change the way you listen to music forever. Around 1885, the Music Commission of the Italian government declared that all instruments and orchestras should use a tuning fork that vibrated at 440 Hz, which was different from the original standard of 432 Hz used in France and throughout most of the world. In 1917, the American Federation of Musicians endorsed the Italians and began tuning in 440 Hz. Interestingly, in 1917, the United States officially entered World War I. Then in 1953, a worldwide agreement was signed between all nations. This frequency became the standard ISO 16 reference for tuning of all musical instruments. This tone standard is now accepted all over the world. There remains a mystery why this frequency was chosen in the first place. In fact, there are many people who disagree with this standard. They consider the 440 Hz middle A to be an abomination against nature. There are indeed clues that points to 432 Hz as a more natural frequency for the correct middle A, also known as Verdi's A, a pure tone of math fundamental to nature and is mathematically consistent with the patterns of the universe, vibrating with pi and the golden ratio. What is 440 Hz? 440 Hz is the unnatural standard tuning frequency removed from the symmetry of sacred vibrations and overtones. There is a theory that the change from 432 Hz to 440 Hz was dictated by Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels. Apparently, he used it to make people think and feel a certain manner, and to make them a prisoner of their own consciousness. In a paper entitled Musical Cult Control, Dr. Leonard Horowitz writes, "The music industry features this imposed frequency that is herding populations into greater aggression, psychosocial agitation, and emotional distress, predisposing people to physical illness. Believe me, they know exactly what they are doing. They are successfully lowering the vibrations of not only the young generation, but the rest of us as well. If one should desire to know whether a kingdom is well governed, if its morals are good or bad, the quality of its music will furnish the answer." Confucius.
Interesting. I never
You just
heard
have
that.
to go out into the street and take a look around. What do you see? School kids, young adults on their way to work, and what do they all have in common? iPhones or MP3 players. Ingenious, isn't it?
Headphones in their ears.
These destructive frequencies entertain the thoughts towards disruption, disharmony, and disunity. They also stimulate the controlling organ of the body and the brain into disharmonious resonance, which
Well, and remember, we are spiritual beings before we are physical beings. So a lot of the things that are done are specifically to attack our spiritual body without our physical body really realizing it, right? Like you'll have some physical symptoms, obviously, like mental, and probably you would get tired and things like that, but it's always spiritual before it is physical.
Ultimately creates mind control. Some suspect that the Rockefeller Foundation had an interest in making sure that the United States adopted the 440 Hz standard as part of a war on consciousness, leading to musical cult control. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. We have been left the method of counting and measurement, and the importance of dividing a unit by 12 seems to be the main rule given that has been adopted by humanity. Here are some of the ways that I found 12 to be an important number. 12 months of the year, 12 hours of a clock, 12 inches to the foot, 12 apostles of Christ, 12 constellations of the zodiac, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 knights of the round table, and there's much more. What happens when you divide today's music standard of A 440 Hz by 12? 440 Hz divided by 12 equals
36.66666666666667.
So what happens when you divide A 432 Hz, known as Verdi's A, an alternative tuning that is mathematically consistent with the universe, by 12? 432 Hz divided by 12 equals just 36. I heard it said perfectly that 440 Hz is pretending to be sacred.
So 36 without all the additional to infinity. Okay, so again, a one-off or a counterfeit of God.
Geometry.
What I'm saying to you
Ridiculous.
is you should give it to somebody that don't know any better, because that's a fugazi. All right?
440 Hz is the closest one can come to the real thing, while still being an imposter. 432 Hz divided by 12 equals 36. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 432 Hz equals 369. They are two ways of expressing the same thing. Next, let's look further into how the 432 Hz frequency is in time itself. Is our number system and method of timekeeping entirely based on 432 Hz, 9-base mathematics? How many seconds are in 12 hours? 43,200. That's 432. Divide or multiply a whole unit by 12. So 60 seconds times 12 equals 43,200 seconds. 36 times 12 equals 432. 36.666 times 12 equals 440. Interesting, isn't it? They are all related. They are perfect musical overtones of one another. Now check this out using vortex-based mathematics. 1 times 12 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 times 12 equals 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 2 times 12 equals 24. 3 times 12 equals 36. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 4 times 12 equals 48. 4 plus 8 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 5 times 12 equals 60. 6 plus 0 equals 6. 6 times 12 equals 72. 7 plus 2 equals 9. Now if you keep on going, you'll notice that our number system is all 3, 6, and 9, repeating forever. The numerical coincidences are too compelling. All over the world and for thousands of years, humanity has received certain number sequences. 108, 144, 360, 369, 432, 1080. But why? What is it about these numbers that jars something so deep within us that we incorporate them into our myths and spiritual beliefs? The answer could be in frequency harmonics. We measure sound frequencies and vibration cycles per second, and the numbers listed above, when played as frequencies, just happen to mirror the exact harmonic patterns found in nature.
Also,
music based on
when someone has nerve damage, they will use a tuning fork type thing to fix the electrical, sometimes their nerves will jump, right? And the particular frequency that they use helps to fix that. I'd be interested to know what frequency exactly those tuning forks are tuned to. I doubt it's 440.
432 Hz transmits beneficial healing energy because it is a pure tone of math fundamental to nature. Classical music such as Beethoven was created using 432 Hz, and research shows that this type of music helps plants grow faster and healthier. 432 Hz is a harmonic of light frequency. It speaks and resonates directly with our cells. All cells communicate with each other via infrared light. So imagine, when they receive music in 432 Hz, they are in joy.
Yes.
The conscious mind may not be aware of this, but most of what goes on in our bodies is subconscious. Sound in the air may be defined as the transfer of periodic movements between adjacent colliding atoms or molecules. Research says that music tuned from this frequency is easier to listen to, brighter, clearer, and contains more inherent dynamic range. As a result, music with this tuning does not need to be played at higher volumes, and this reduces the risk of hearing damage. Cosmic harmonious frequencies related to the 432 Hz frequency and its importance in the creation of physical reality from light and sound. Is it possible that over the course of thousands of years, we have somehow been guided in the process of creating this new form of communication? And if so, what type of information will we learn from it that could not be expressed in any other way? The underlying primary psychic reality is so inconceivably complex that it can be grasped only at the farthest reach of intuition, and then but very dimly. That is why it needs symbols. This is the biggest mystery. This universal truth was not available to the people of this planetary system. It is now finally being received on this planet by deep seekers of the truth and ready to receive it. Throughout history, numerous clues and hints regarding geometry and frequency have been staring at us, calling to us, and waiting for us to put them into place like pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle. Here at the dawn of a new age, this sonic geometric puzzle is finally nearing completion, revealing the building blocks of a language based on energy, frequency, and form. Now, how do we tell the rest of the world that we need to reset the international concert pitch back to A432 Hz? Many people might say that this is nothing and barely noticeable, but why would they go through so much trouble to have this frequency change worldwide when some of the greatest classical music was created using 432 Hz? If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Wow. And you know what? The original purpose of music was for worshiping God. So who are you worshiping when you're singing? You know, what songs are you singing? Who are you paying your homage to? Who are you paying your attention to? This next kid created a solar panel, a working solar panel, out of items that some people have laying around their house, or are at least readily available to anybody. Check this out.
This boy is a genius. He fixed a stack of CDs in a vise and drilled 2 holes in the edge of the discs and threaded copper wire through the holes, winding it around the shape of the discs. At the end, I realized what a master is. When the winding is done, a coil is formed on the disc. We've tested it. When the connection to the disc coil is complete, voltage appeared on the meter. What kind of magic is this? To make the test more accurate, the man prepared another small motor. For the second test, it can be found after connecting the wires to the copper wire. The motor starts to operate immediately. This is the end of the test. He wound up the rest of the discs into coils and prepared a wooden frame and placed all the discs evenly in the frame. So, as you can see here, have you guessed what the man made? All arranged and arranged. He divided the discs into 2.
Okay, so first he says boy, then he says man. So either way, it's crazy.
Groups and connect them in series so that they form the picture as shown here. Connect the discs to form a strong hole. Drill 2 small holes in the edge of the frame for the 2 wires and connect them as external wires. Connection is complete. There is one more important thing to do. Prepare a cup of clear epoxy resin solution. After mixing them well, pour it onto the CD-ROM in the frame. Fix all the discs in the frame. Wait for the resin to solidify naturally. Remove the wooden frame. The result is a transparent disc coil plate. For safety, the burrs formed by the casting are sanded away. After sanding and placing it in the sunlight, the magic happens. The 2 wires are brought into contact, sparks fly, and connecting them to the motor, and the motor is bouncing around. So when you see this, you can see what the man's making, right? That's right, it's a homemade solar panel. Drill 2 holes to attach it. You can install it on the roof. To test how well it generates electricity, attach it to the support pole, and bolt it down, and connect a set of test bulbs. It can be noticed that contact with the wires. The bulb is instantly lit. A larger wattage sun lamp was connected again, also lit up with ease. I can't help but admire the man's craftsmanship. So for this homemade solar panel, how would you rate this homemade solar panel?
Is that not the coolest idea? I want to know how much voltage you can get out of one of those. And if you built like maybe a series of like 10 of them, how much power you could actually get. And that could come in handy someday. You never know what's going to happen. This next video kind of blew my mind a little bit. We have all heard of the Shazam Mandela effect and how it supposedly never existed. Well, if this isn't proof that it existed, I don't know what is.
Proof dimensions are starting to mesh together.
If you remember watching Shazam in the 90s with Sinbad the actor, well, the movie never existed.
You all remember a movie called Shazam with Sinbad playing a genie? You know what? The movie was never real. It was, the rumor started in 2009. I don't know where it came from, but it's not real.
And listen, when you make all knowledge available on the internet and make that the only place that people look at for any facts, you can pretty much change history to whatever you feel like.
Millions of people remember watching this movie, but it never existed. Apparently, it's a Mandela effect, a collective false memory of something that a lot of people remember, but it never happened. Just like, for instance, the Mandela effects of the Monopoly guy with the monocle, the Berenstein Bears with an E, and George the monkey with the tail. These things never happened. And the thing is, I recently found videos of people who actually have a VHS tape of the Shazam.
I still don't
Shazam
understand
movie.
the whole issue with this movie Shazam, with Sinbad.
That
if
looks
it
like
never
it exists to
existed,
me.
how come a lot of people still have the VHS tape? Are we in a different timeline? Time travel?
I'd
Parallel
keep it in a
universe?
safe
What's
because I
going on?
It
need it too.
never existed.
Strange, isn't it? But it
That's
gets
weird.
even stranger. I found an original scene from the Shazam movie. In it, several Mandela effects.
What are you doing?
Dad could have thrown out all of Mom's stuff. He just could have. James, there's gotta be something he forgot here. Something real we can remember her by.
George, the monkey with the tail. What?
Mandela Effect 1.
We have our memories. They're real. No one can take that from us. Yeah.
Clean this up. Can you imagine if Dad saw this mess?
Really hooked on them.
Bless you.
Number 2.
What is that?
Berenstein Bears with an E. What? Nelson Mandela dead at 68. What?
Sure took you long enough, Tina. Wait, y'all are not Tina.
Kidnapper! Wait, you knew her mom?
I want you to make me my own dinosaur.
Last but not least, Carmen Sandiego with a yellow suit. Why would
5.
someone leave so many Mandela effects inside of a movie that never existed? What is going on here? Time travel or what?
That's what I'm saying. So a movie that its existence is a Mandela effect actually exists, and in that movie there are Mandela effect after Mandela effect after Mandela effect. That is weird to me, and it just seems a little planned, don't you think?
Does the Holy Bible mention that this winged lion represents the beast? It sure does. It sits right in front of the UN Plaza at 666 United Nations Plaza. But the devil is always in the details. And that little logo right there at the top of the screen, that's next on the trumpet. This is the UN logo, and it's comprised of 33 segments that are joined together that form this flat earth. And then it's wrapped by the acacia leaves. Everything the UN does is going to be under that big flat earth logo right there. And in New York City, their address is 666 United Nations Plaza. Let's see how many times I can say 33. The Tower of Babel is at the 33rd degree parallel. Mount Hermon is where the fallen angels descended to earth. Mount Hermon is at 33 degrees right there. Where the fallen angels came to earth, that's mentioned right there in the book of Revelation, chapter 12. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. 1/3 is equal to 33.3%. It makes you wonder why the United Nations has a permanently manned location right on top of Mount Hermon. Well, you knew that was coming. Hey, look, I got 33 buttons all the way down my front.
Me too.
In their logo, they have 2 sprigs of acacia right here. And what's the Masonic significance of a sprig of acacia? It symbolizes the immortality of the soul when it is presented to a master mason. Matthew 23:10. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. Genesis chapter 6.
Masters.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all of which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. When the fallen angels descended on Mount Hermon, they all bound themselves by mutual implications, and they are the oldest fraternity of men. And
Meaning, I'll do it if you do it. So if we get in trouble, we all get in trouble together. And that's exactly what happened.
remember that Mount Hermon is on the 33rd degree. One of the biggest books mentioned in Freemasonry is Morals and Dogma. And this was written for the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree. And they're located right there in Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That is a sprig of acacia. That stuff right there. Revelation chapter 20. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth. 4 quarters, not 4 corners.
More and more of these so-called satellites, which are in fact helium balloons, are falling around our flat plane. This is just another one which fell down over the country of Brazil.
Now, I hear this all the time. How would the satellites work if there was a firmament? How would the signals get through? The satellites are hanging in the lower Earth orbit, meaning that their balloons are under the firmament. They're not above on the other side of, they're still within. Also, if you also do not think that the Earth is flat, I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions. Why would NASA need to have to be the #1 consumer of helium? What else? What would they be using the helium for? Especially when I've also just recently heard that even the rockets themselves are balloons, and the flames and like rocket flame that you see coming off of it is some sort of firework or sparkler. So in my mind, I'm like, is this thing just like a giant hot air balloon? And now when you watch one of these things take off, look at it. Like really look at it and tell me if it looks like it's a balloon.
Susunod ka naman doon.
Alguém tem uma faca aí? Dá certo? Até falar esse bicho pra lá. Vamos porque ele tá lá. Quero só a cor.
They're like, what the heck is that?
Vamos ele pra lá? Vamos tirar ele daqui.
The English word NASA in Hebrew translates to deceive. NASA is spelled N-A-S-A, and there is always a T through the middle of the word NASA on their logo. Each time NASA has ever launched a rocket, they say T-. Now, if you look at the letters NASA and then a T, this is simply an anagram for S-A-T-A-N. Oh, which coincidentally spells Satan, and everyone knows Satan is a deceiver. So Satan deceives. NASA in Hebrew means deceive, and this is why they are putting it right in front of your face, because they lie about everything. They lie about the planets, they lie about the stars, they lie about the earth, the sun. They lie and they deceive us in every single way. NASA in Hebrew means to deceive.
Somebody explain to me why this moon right here is below the horizon.
Please can someone help explain how on this flight the moon is below the horizon by quite some way.
That doesn't seem right.
25,000 miles in circumference, there must exist a curvature drop of 8 inches times the mile when you square the mile. 1 mile means there should be an 8-inch curvature drop. 2 miles, 2 times 2 times 8 is 32. That's 32-inch drop. 3 miles would be a 72-inch drop. And this would exponentially continue. Here's the longest bridge in the world, the Danyang Gongchang Grand Bridge in China. 102.4 miles long. There should exist nearly 7,000 feet of curvature drop in that bridge. 7,000 foot curvature drop. Do you see it? It ain't there. Look at the horizon. It's flat.
Another so-called satellite fell down over the Amazon region in Brazil. Why are all those satellites falling down attached to balloons? I think we know the answer. It's because there are no satellites in space. All they show us in our textbooks are nothing but CGI imagination. Here you see one that was photographed right when it was passing in front of the moon. I uploaded a similar video a couple of days ago and TikTok took it down within 30 seconds. They try really hard to hide the fact satellites are all floating up there with the help of balloons. There is nothing in so-called space. There is a firmament above us and nothing gets past the firmament. That so-called Chinese balloon was nothing but a satellite gone astray. We flat earthers try really hard to wake the masses up, but they choose to believe the lies of NASA. We have done all we can. It's no more our responsibility. They have chosen to be deceived. Deceived they will be. Just wait until Project Bluebeam gets implemented.
I can bring you the truth, but I can't believe it for you. And that's what I love about our community, is that we are all learning every day and we bounce our ideas off of each other. And the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know much.
Wait. Were you under the impression that seasons suggest that we're on a ball? It actually proves that the Earth is flat. Let me explain. So I'm supposed to believe that the sun is 93 million miles away from the Earth, and seasons are caused by the simple tilt of the Earth as it orbits the sun? Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the heliocentric model, but this one is really obvious. The sun rays are coming in 93 million miles away, okay? Just picture this. The rays are traveling through a space vacuum 93 million miles away. The warmth of the sun 93 million miles away. Now I'm supposed to believe that the tilt of the earth causes winter and summer, and the angle of the light does this. If the warmth of the sun already traveled 93 million miles, I don't think it would care for the simple tilt of the earth. I don't think it would cause winter and summer. But it only gets worse the more I look into this model. Perihelion is the point of the Earth's orbit that is nearest to the sun. This always happens in early January and about 2 weeks after the December solstice. Aphelion is a point of Earth's orbit that is furthest away from the sun. It always happens in early July, about 2 weeks after the June solstice. The perihelion, us being closest to the sun, is in January. That's when we have winter, 91.4 million miles away. The aphelion, which is in July, 94.5 million miles away. So I'm supposed to believe that during the summer we're farthest away from the sun, and during winter we're closest to the sun? That doesn't make any sense. But in reality, on a flat earth model...
That's why when you're in school, they want you to memorize what they tell you the answer is and give it back to them, and you're graded on how well you give them the answer that they told you was correct. They're not teaching you how to figure out these answers. They're just saying, this is this, okay? And just remember that this is this, all right?
The sun just gets closer and further away from the North Pole, causing seasons. For example, on the sun's innermost rotation around our flat Earth, that's when Alaska can see 24-hour days, and Antarctica can never see 24-hour days. All those videos are fake. Before you go on enjoying your day or night, just remember, this model spawned from the Big Bang, just a random explosion.
Right. Also, remember, by taking a map and wrapping it around a ball, that's the easiest way to cut off land that you don't want people to know exists.
There are so many sixes lining up with this globe if it came from a cosmic explosion.
Right.
If the sun is over here and the moon is over here, sun's over here, moon's back over there. That means someone in this world, if it's round, cannot see either one. Make that make sense.
Good point. I see the sun and the moon at the same time.
I'm going to present to you now to more so-called satellites, which are really high-altitude balloons that fell down. This first one fell down over the jungles of Peru in South America. NASA and other so-called space agencies always display images of satellites as being in space, orbiting a ball Earth. The truth of the matter is that satellites in space do not exist. They are all state-of-the-art equipment hanging on balloons. The internet and all communications depend in reality on under-the-oceans cables. All communication rely heavily on these undersea cables. Here you see one of these satellite balloons floating in front of the moon. And this is the second so-called satellite, which fell over in Congo, a country in Africa. You will always see these so-called satellites tied to giant helium balloons. There is absolutely no satellites in space.
Have you met Mr. Blue Marble, Robert Simmons?
Mr. Blue Marble? No.
The last time anyone took a photograph from above low Earth orbit that showed an entire hemisphere was in 1972 during Apollo 17. NASA's Earth Observing System satellites were designed to give a checkup of Earth's health. By 2002, we finally had enough data to make a snapshot of the entire Earth. So we did. The hard part was creating a flat map of the Earth's surface with 4 months of satellite data. Reto Stockley, now at the Swiss Federal Office of Meteorology and Climatology, did much of this work. Then we wrapped the flat map around a ball. My part was integrating the surface, clouds, and oceans to match people's expectations of how Earth looks from space.
So you did what? you copied and pasted.
That ball became the famous blue marble.
Photoshop.
Flight Santiago to Sydney. This Boeing's average cruise speed 650 miles per hour. But at 600 miles per hour, traveling this 7,055-mile trip should take less than 12 hours. But this is the route if the Earth were flat. But we will round up to 12,000 miles to give the globe a chance. Looks like a long trip on our flat Earth, doesn't it? So let's do the math we don't know about. A 12,000-mile trip divided by an average 600 miles per hour speed is 20 hours. What are we missing? That's right, jet streams. Did you know about them? Jet streams can reach up to 275 miles per hour. Now if our plane took those helpful stream, that would help us gain time. With an average 850 miles per hour speed into 12,000-mile trip gets us the proper timing. Thanks for joining me today on Flights Explained on Our Flat Earth.
I have absolutely never once seen someone explain flight paths that make sense on a globe. They only ever make sense on the flat map.
These are the jet streams of wind around Antarctica. Planes fly in these to gain time. What makes more sense? This looks a bit patched up, if you know what I mean. There is a bit more elegance to this, don't you think?
You do not live on a spinning ball covered in water.
Only makes sense on a flat map.
Centrifugal force is the opposite to what you think. Water doesn't stick to spinning objects, especially one that curves in every direction. It doesn't matter how you spin water, the centrifugal force will push it away. I mean, it's basic science. How do you think a washing machine removes the water from your clothes? You're supposed to be on a ball spinning 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles per hour while shooting through the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour. That's also moving at 1.2 million miles per hour.
But you can't
Yet none of
replicate
those speeds match anything we experience in reality. In fact, it's completely insane to suggest such a notion. Bodies of water all
And isn't that the point? Because if they can get you to believe something that goes against all of your senses and like common sense about the way things work, if they get you to believe a lie that big, then they can get you to believe anything. These are hotels across the country.
paying attention.
I wonder what hotel that is in particular. Next up, this lady found some very interesting patents that actually exist.
Let's talk about the rabbit hole that I fell down while researching information for our previous video. Our previous video was about how your television is literally like a patented weapon device to like brainwash you, basically.
Which is why you can get a 55-inch TV for under $300 today.
And while researching that patent, I unknowingly to me at the time fell down like an insane rabbit hole. It's just nuts. So we're going to talk about it. But before I go any further, you already know I have to give a disclaimer or they're going to take this video down. So this video was made strictly for entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this video should be considered factual. And let's just say the whole video is scripted. Okay,
Right.
hopefully that's good enough.
I'm an actress and I am playing a part.
Now let's get into it. So on the own website, I was looking up the specific patent for our previous video. And I came across a list of all the current 3G weapons that the is using against us without our knowledge, obviously, because like I didn't consent to any of this. Let me know if you guys did, but I highly doubt it. So I'm going to point out a few that I think are like the most worth pointing out, and then at the end of the video I'm going to include like an entire patent list of every patent that I found, and you guys can go look up, you know, the information on your own. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video because like I promise there's so many on there that you're going to want to go look it up. All right, now let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the list, and at the top in that blue like bar right up there at the top, it literally reads directed / targeted individual patents. So like patents that they took out on targeted individuals. And just in case you didn't know, anybody can become a targeted individual like at any time, whenever they deem it necessary. Now let's go over a few of these. Mind you, every single one I'm talking about is its own direct weapon. All right, so here's the patent number for what I'm talking about right up here. You can always go look this up for yourself. I always encourage that. This patent is for remotely transmitting intelligible subjective sounds into a target's consciousness, or they call it voice to skull. I think that's cute. Love your little nicknames, bro. So basically, for those of you who don't speak government, remotely transmit subjective intelligible sound into target consciousness basically means that they're going to be able to remotely, not from anywhere near you, but from like a faraway location, be able to put a certain sound into like a specific person's brain or consciousness.
So, feasibly could make someone think that demons are telling them to do something is a possibility.
It's like whatever person they want, whenever they want. Or like a thought or whatever, and you would think it's organic. And patent number is used for subliminal manipulation of a subject's emotions via remotely directed audio waves. Or in other words, they can make you feel whatever frickin' way they want to just by manipulating some audio waves around you. This next one is really fun.
And don't you think that the music industry may be employing quite a bit of that as well?
Fucking trippy, dude. So for patent number, this one is called the ventriloquist effect, and it makes a voice emanate from individuals who did not intend to release it. Or in other words, it can make you talk when you didn't mean to. Fucking ventriloquist effect. Like, who comes up with this?
That's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Or how about this next one? Okay, for the patent number up there. This patent can control your brain state by placing engineered EMF patterns into the AC wiring of buildings. I shit you not, dude. And don't look up this next patent if you ever want to be able to go to the dentist again without being horrified, because this patent is for an oral electronic tracking device that can be implanted in teeth, dentures, or braces. And then this patent can induce whatever desired emotional state through EMF patterns, for instance, sleepiness or arousal, anything they want you to feel. Or how about this next patent? Yet another nickname, they call it the rock the baby sensation. And it remotely causes the subject to feel their body swaying, like they just experienced an earthquake or something. This next one, I think we all knew it existed, but this patent controls human brainwaves by superimposing hidden phrases into music signals. I mean, I already knew they were doing that, but you know, if you want to see the patent that proves it, there it is. Okay, these next two really f me up. So this patent can remotely monitor your heart rate and perspiration through the use of directed EMFs. Yeah, you heard me right. And after I tell you this one, you guys like are never going to touch your phone again, but check this. This next patent is, of course, for your phone. It doesn't exactly say that, but I mean, come on. It's for monitoring vital signs of a subject via a remote application of radar waves through a handheld device. So your phone. And then this patent is just for some good old dream alteration. Like literally your own dreams aren't even your own, dude. And here's like the weapons that we know are like regular weapons, right? Here's the proof of them. Got the patents and everything. So this patent number allows for extremely precise aim of particle beams, aka over distances of up to several thousand miles. And then this patent number just like helps that, because it's an imaging device that improves the aim of energy weapons. Because of course they want to like be able to see the target before they like blow it up, right? Because we all know they don't want to hit Oprah's property or anything. I'm just saying. At this point, that disclaimer's not going to be good enough. I swear they're going to take this shit down. Y'all are probably going to have to.
I know. I don't even know how YouTube's going to like
this. Listen to this next one. This helps monitor and determine undesirable behaviors in humans via wireless microphones in vehicles, personal property, and homes. So like, this is a patent to bug my home, basically, and listen for undesirable behaviors. Well then, I guess I should start checking my house for bugs, cause. And then this patent is a method that helps them monitor community mood by remotely monitoring voices, texts, and biometrics. So basically at any time they can just be like, how's this community feeling about me today? Are they listening to Katie too much? And then this next patent is an X-ray inspection device that can sense the presence of humans within structures. within your home. They know where you are. Again, I'm going to ask.
Yeah, they can you do that with your modem.
And then you're going to say, okay, Katie, I know, but like they're not using this stuff all the time, right? Like it's only for targeted individuals, only at some times, right? Nope. Listen to this last patent that I have for you. This patent number is for the power system, and it is to maintain weapons in a ready state. Or in other words, so they never have to power down. Cute. Real
cute.
Cute. I know, it's a lot. Anyways, I promised a full list of all the patent numbers that I came across, so let me get my big head out of the way and give that to you.
Let me pause that real quick. If you guys want to look into any of those numbers, there they are. That's a lot. Oh, there's more. Let me pause that one too. Holy.
Please let us know what you thought about this shit in the comments, because like when I stumbled across it, real shit, I was kind of scared to make this video because it's crazy. But I made it because at the end of the day, all of this information that I just told you is public knowledge, and anybody who wanted to spend the time could find this information just like I did. I wasn't looking for it. I stumbled across it and my mind was blown. I'm sorry, but there's just no way that I could come across some shit like this and not share it with you guys. Like, that's just not me. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments, and as always, make sure you like, follow, and share.
It's absolutely not surprising in the least to me. What do you guys think?
This is not a church. It was never a church. And if you give me 3 minutes, I'm going to absolutely turn your world upside down and blow your mind. You may have heard about a strange story going around that we were a part of an advanced civilization that fell apart due to some kind of invasion. And that incredible buildings like these, surrounded by all these smaller buildings, are actually part of 2 completely different worlds and times. If you're under the impression that structures like these can be built in our modern times, think again, because they can't, and they haven't been for hundreds of years. There are countless buildings like this scattered all over the world that we repurposed as banks, churches, universities, and state buildings. You'll also notice that a lot of these buildings have the word founded etched in the side instead of built. That's because we found them. We didn't make them. So let's talk about what these buildings were really used for before we repurposed them. It's becoming painfully obvious that our religions and our religious institutions do not serve us, and in fact were built to control us. We're starting to realize that many of the stories we've been told about our religions have been twisted and corrupted to imprison our minds and our spirits.
Yes.
Well, it gets so much crazier and worse than that. Because these buildings were never churches. They were healing centers and amplification centers for our meditation and prayers to make our thoughts reality, word to flesh. The painted glass windows and all the geometric shapes were meant to amplify those frequencies outward and inward to heal us and create a protective force field around.
Now remember, they were resonators, and according to the official narrative, we did not understand that technology during the time that these buildings are supposedly from. So that right there is a huge question.
Around the building and around the empire. Going back to this picture, you see that circle right there? That's cymatics. Just go look up a video where they play sounds on sand and then the sand takes different shapes. It looks exactly the same as that. This architecture is a frozen masterpiece of music, which caused frequencies to emanate within and without to have all sorts of amazing and powerful effects. Yes, all the old stories of Atlantis and Tartaria are absolutely true, and you can see the evidence of it just by going to one of these churches. But it gets even crazier than that. Look at the domes here. Look at those little circular balls. These are conductors, okay? We don't have a cross or the moon and the star here, and there's a good reason why. I'm just going to put this ugly modern church in the background while we talk about this so this can really sink in for you. All of our religious symbols like crosses and moons and stars were actually just carefully crafted antennae. They were shaped that way to pull energy into the building. And now just think about how you have defined your entire life based on these symbols, defended them, fought other people over them, thought you were worshiping a god through that symbol. They are laughing in our face. And guess what? It gets even crazier in part 2 when we talk about the Orgone generator.
Oh, I'm going to have to find that for you guys soon. It's very clear to me that the prescribed narrative that we have been given is not the actual truth of our past. There's a lot of things that do not add up. A lot of the buildings, according to the stories that were given, were built in less time than it takes to transport the materials to the location to even start the build. There's just a lot of things that do not add up. This next one is a bit on the disturbing side, and it's for entertainment purposes, probably scripted. I'm acting.
We are eating ourselves. And this is why I say what I say. The more I eat it, the way that I feel, what my spirit is telling me. And like I said before, there is no plants in any building. There's no amount of plants in any building across the world that can produce as much as meat as we eat.
I'm Greg Wallace, and I'm off to visit Good Harvest, where a whopping 6 tons of human meat is engineered every day.
Oh, shit. There's nothing growing that fast to be able to feed Wendy's, McDonald's, Popeyes, JJ's, Sharks, this fine dining restaurant, that fine dining restaurant.
And this is where the magic happens. The Good Harvest processing plant has been up and running for over 8 months. It contains both industrial and clinical operations on a site the size of 4 football pitches. Mick Ross oversees the production line and is in charge of over 60 full-time staff who engineer roughly 50,000 steaks every day.
You tell me what's growing that fast and what's moving that fast.
So come on then, Mick. How on earth do you grow human meat?
I want to introduce you to our nutrient vat. What its job is, it processes thin slices of tissue in a nutrient-rich mix, which you see here, and then cells start to grow. So over a 24-hour period, these will slowly fuse together into one great big, what we call a cake.
24 hours.
For a few hours, this is what we're left with.
Whoa! No way! Mate, that's the biggest chunk of meat I've ever seen. I mean, scientifically, that's amazing. But in terms of food, that is stunning.
It is incredible.
But like, why does it have to be human? Like, you couldn't have done that with a cow?
It's stunning. Look at it. This 30-kilogram protein cake will be cut into nearly 100 steaks, and it's all been grown from the cells of just one person. But why human meat? Why not animal meat?
We know more about humans than we do about animals.
We know more about humans than we do about animals.
So we've mastered engineering human cells. To make these structured flavours and sinews that we expect from the flavours of steaks we eat.
And would you feed your family human steaks?
Oh yes, most definitely. Already have.
We give them to the slaughterhouses, and those are pounds and pounds and pounds of meat that we grind up in the sausage and the hamburger. And that's why we made those the most popular things, sausage for breakfast and hamburger for lunch.
This is engineered human meat.
No.
Engineered human meat. This is engineered human meat.
Oh my gosh, my mind just went to like lunch meat and hot dogs, kibasi. Gross. Okay, our last story for today features a woman who photographed something amazing from an airplane window during a storm.
When I was preaching in Australia, a lady was in the congregation who had been traveling by air from Australia to New Zealand over the Tasman Sea. And halfway across to New Zealand, they had run into a violent electrical storm, and the clouds seemed to be on fire with lightning all around the aircraft. And she was quite frightened. And the plane was being tossed around with the wind and the air pockets. And the passengers panicked, and they were screaming. They were holding on to each other. I think they all thought the plane would break up and they would all die. And the lady noticed that the lady sitting next to her against the window was praying. Well, anybody would pray in that situation.
Amen. Me too.
But she said to her, "Excuse me, but are you a Christian?" The lady said yes. And so they said, well, let's pray together. And together they said, Lord, you stilled the storm 2,000 years ago. Please do it again. But please still the storm inside the plane as well as outside. And within 2 minutes, everybody in the plane was at peace and had stopped screaming and was sitting quietly. But the storm continued outside, and she had a camera, so she leant over across the new friend, and she held the camera at arm's length against the window and pressed the trigger, hoping that she might get a picture of this extraordinary sight of the lightning apparently setting the whole sky on fire. Well, she took the film to be developed in New Zealand after she'd landed safely, because as soon as she took the photograph, the storm outside stopped as well. And they came into clear air and landed safely in New Zealand. She took the film to be developed, and the shop rang her up later and said, your photographs are ready, but will you please come and pick them up yourself? I want to talk to you. And when she went to collect the photograph, she said, why do you want to talk to me? And the photographer said, where did you get this photograph? And she told how she'd held the camera against the window of the plane and how the storm had stopped as soon as she took the photograph. And the photographer and his family all became Christians that afternoon.
Praise God.
It was originally a color photograph. I've only managed to get it on black and white in this transparency, but this was how the photograph turned out. I don't think you'll be able to see the face. You will one day. But that was what the camera saw. She didn't. A figure in perfect peace, in control of the situation. I have only once in my life had the sheer privilege of having a vision of Jesus. I saw him. I can't describe his face to this day.
And that falls in line. You can't see his face.
Just to know that he was there and he was real. But one day we shall see him and see his face, and we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is.
One day.
Well, John had that vision, but it was frightening, as I told you last night. He fell in a dead faint, and a well-known voice said, don't be afraid. I was dead, and now I am alive forevermore. You know of every other great world leader, every other founder of a religion, you have to say they were alive, and they are now dead forevermore. Only of Jesus can you say he was dead and is alive forevermore.
Yeah.
Confucius is dead, Buddha is dead, Muhammad is dead, but Jesus is alive.
Amen. Amen. Not only is he alive, but he's coming back for us. And we get to live with him for eternity. Like, that's amazing. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to know. Put a dove down in the comments so I know who you are. And if you have any comments on any of the videos that were in today's video, I want to hear them. Leave those down below as well. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me again, and I will be back very soon. Until then, stay prayed up and stay highly motivated.